4 attempted arson attacks on synagogues in the UK in just 1 week. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is appalled. I'm fucking furious. Starmer goes on to tell us that attacks on our Jewish communities are attacks on us all. Well, yes, clichés exist for a reason, and indeed, it never does stop at the Jews. At the moment, however, it is the Jews who are being targeted, harassed, attacked. It is the Jews that are under a clear and present danger. And if you think I'm being overly dramatic, perhaps you've forgotten that 2 Jews were murdered outside their synagogue in Manchester just a little over 6 months ago. Jews are the only minority in the UK whose synagogues, schools, community centres and events require private security, barbed wire fences, security gates, guards and even armed police. How is that normal? How is that acceptable? How has Jew hatred been so normalised? Appalled, shocked, concerned, determined to stand with the Jewish community. We hear the same shit and see the same performance every time Jews are attacked. What we never see is decisive and meaningful action. Quite the opposite. In the UK, Jew hatred has been allowed to fester. Confronting it would require a backbone, moral clarity, as well as political courage. Alas, courage is not in this government's lexicon. This government prefers symbolism to leadership, rhetoric to action, and public relations to results. It pays nothing more than lip service to anti-Semitism and acts surprised when it grows and becomes increasingly brazen. For 2.5 years, Britain has tolerated protests and marches steeped in anti-Semitism, dressed up as anti-Zionism, and masquerading as justice and human rights. Genocidal chants called to globalise the Intifada and for the destruction of the Jewish state. Police arrest pensioners and clergy for supporting Palestine Action, which is indeed a terrorist organisation, yet tolerates open support for hardcore terrorists like Hamas, Hezbollah, and their patron, the murderous Islamic regime in Iran. Too many politicians have calculated that confronting Muslim anti-Semitism risks votes, confronting progressive anti-Semitism risks social status, and confronting street extremism risks disorder. It's easier to condemn synagogue attacks, feign concern and promise action than actually take robust measures and decisive action. It's easier to praise Jewish community resilience than admit state impotence. But once such blatant acts of hatred towards a minority are normalised, escalation is inevitable. That Jews need protection is now a given, so attacks become easier to absorb. When threats and intimidation carry little cost, violence is going to be more likely. When authority signals hesitation, the haters hear permission. And the 4 synagogues are only the tip of the iceberg, but they're no mystery. They didn't come out of the blue. They are the consequences of years of inaction. In Birmingham, police effectively caved to Muslim intimidation and restricted pro-Israel and Jewish supporters rather than confront Muslim extremism and anti-Semitism. Muslims who drove around Jewish neighbourhoods in London with megaphones threatening to attack Jews and rape their daughters faced no consequences at all when they were arrested. Prosecutors decided to drop the case. Government capitulation sends a clear message that Britain will comply rather than challenge the mob. And so Jews are then murdered outside their house of prayer and attacks on Jews intensify. It seems as David Baddiel is right when he says, Jews don't count. Seriously, imagine cars driving around neighbourhoods threatening to attack black people or Muslims and rape their daughters. The Jewish community is a tiny minority making up only 0.4% of the country. Yet attacks against Jews made up 40% of all racist attacks in 2024, and things are only getting worse. No other minority would put up with this shit. No other minority would be hung out to dry in this manner. Keir Starmer shouldn't be appalled. He should be ashamed. Ashamed that Jew hatred has flourished so openly. Ashamed that government lacks the nerve to confront it. Ashamed that political convenience matters more to him than public safety. Ashamed that after the memorials, the speeches, the lessons of history and the vows of never again, Jews in Britain need special security arrangements and armed police to protect them. The UK must either confront anti-Semitism with force, honesty and sustained political will, or admit the obvious. For them, managing the problem is easier than tackling it. Thus, the Jewish community will continue to pay the price, and Jews will increasingly consider their options. And ultimately, the UK as a whole will pay an even greater price.